Welcome, everybody, to the next episode of the Elevate Compliance podcast. We've got a great episode for you today. I'm really excited to be interviewing Sam Jones from Cre8wise. We're going to talk a little bit about what Cre8wise does and who Sam is. But before we do that, just a couple of updates about where we are and what we're doing. So at Elevate, we have a couple of exciting new pieces of news to share with you. The first is that we are one step closer to acquiring our AGD PACE accreditation, which is going to be great for our continuing education. So that is really exciting. And then we've got some new features that we'll be rolling out onto the platform this month. At the end of next month, at the end of March, we're going to be introducing our nitrous oxide safety course, which is going to be great. It's awesome. We're putting it together. We're going to be partnering with a couple of dentists who do anesthesia just to really get the most impact that we can for that course. So I'm really excited about that. But enough about that. Let's introduce our guest today. Sam, good to see you. Thanks for being here with me. And for our listeners, tell us a little bit about who Sam Jones is and what Sam Jones does.
Oh man, so I am a Kansas Citian. I live here in the suburbs of Kansas City. I just celebrated my 30th year in the dental industry in August of 2024. So that's pretty exciting. I've been hanging out in dentistry for quite some time now. I own a company called Cre8wise Movement and a company called Bloom and Be Wellness. Cre8wise is the one that really kind of spends the most time in dentistry. I have a coaching and speaking company. But we also do some other cool things too. So we have a dashboard that we use to help practices really get organized in their operations. I've spent a lot of time helping people organize their operation, and so we knew we needed a piece of technology to help us do so. And then we also help owners, teams really kind of figure out how to streamline their processes by using virtual team members. So we have a whole big group of virtual team members that are highly trained that really come in and help dental practices sort of offload some of those mundane tasks that really bog down and bottleneck the front desk and all of that. So yeah, we're all over the place.
Awesome. I love it. Well, there's a few things that I want to touch on just from that introduction alone. So obviously you said you're a Kansas City. How did you say it? A Kansas Cityan?
Kansas Cityan.
Kansas Cityan. Okay, awesome. Well, as you and I talked about a little bit before we started recording, before the show started, I have a lot of family in Missouri, mostly down in southeast Missouri, down like around West Plains. For the 8 people listening to this that have any idea where that is, but for everybody else, yes, it's like 4.5 hours away from Kansas City. So I wouldn't call it close exactly. It's quite a ways away.
Close-ish.
Close-ish, definitely closer than I am here in Seattle. So that's for sure. Yeah, and so so I think you said it was snowing pretty hard there right now too, right? Dumping today.
We are getting a snowstorm, so I'm a happy remote worker today that I don't have to be out and about in it because it looks pretty gross outside.
Yeah, so good day to be indoors recording a podcast, which is great.
That's right, exactly.
And so you talked a little bit about Cre8wise and the platform that you have. And I would like to delve into that with a little bit more detail because obviously here at Elevate, we love platforms. That's what we've done. We've built this great platform for compliance.
Yeah.
So tell me and the listeners a little bit about what the platform would do for a practice. We'll get into things like the virtual employees and all that stuff in a minute. That's great stuff. I want to talk about that. But in terms of the platform, give us just a couple of simple things that it can do to really make the lives of the dentists easier right off the bat.
Yeah, this is definitely a solution that was created from hundreds of conversations that I've had with dentists over the years. And really what it does is it helps answer a couple of questions. The big one is, what are they doing up there, or what are they doing over there, or what should they be doing? Like what is, a dentist really is focused in their operatory with their patient. And, a lot of times there's a lot of disconnect in what individuals should be managing in terms of their tasks. So, and there's a lot of overlap and we don't even realize it sometimes. Like one person thinks that the other person is doing something or they're both doing something. And so it's getting done twice. And so there's just a massive amount of inefficiency in our industry, lots of it. We don't typically see practices that come with when they're acquired or they're started up. We don't see them coming with this really well-defined operational infrastructure. So what the platform does is it creates that. It is the operational infrastructure that is managed and followed and organized inside of a practice, so that we're eliminating that piece of chaos and inefficiency that is so prevalent inside of so many practices these days. There's a lot of chaos.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So really, I mean, in a nutshell, we really line out. It's like when you go to hire someone, you create a job description, right? Like you're like, this is what I want to hire this person for.
Sure.
Well, we kind of take it a step further and we get really specific with what that person is supposed to do. I don't know about you, Will, but I don't go into the grocery store without a list. If I do, guess what happens? Yeah, you know, right?
I do know you end up spending way more time and money than you need to there. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think similarly, we don't give enough specificity to what we want to be done or what needs to be done in each role, that we end up missing things. We end up doing things twice. It ends up just getting a little out of control. And so the platform really lines out exactly what each role and responsibility is in charge of, and when and how, and all of those good things.
That's awesome. So, excuse me. So it's all about optimization, it sounds like. It's all about making sure that we optimize, like you said, so that we don't have one person thinking someone else is doing something or doubling up on a task or thing that needs to get done. Are you primarily, is the platform, I mean, I imagine the answer to, I think I know the answer to this already, but I'm going to ask anyway. Is it predominantly focused on the clinical side, or does it have tasks break down for clinical admin, hygiene? Does it even get more specific than that, like hygiene team, anesthetic team? Like how does it kind of operate in terms of the office?
All of the above.
Okay.
So
That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, in a dental practice, everything that everyone does is connected to the next person's work. So
Sure.
the administrator who's verifying an insurance for a patient very much relates to the hygienist that's getting ready to see that patient and knowing what conversations need to be had around some of those dynamics. So everything is connected inside of our practice. So we have created space within the platform to make sure that every role is accounted for and automated, so that we're not leaving anybody out. And if I run into situations too where a specialty practice, sometimes they hire nurses to come in and
Sure.
and help with things. So we even have some customization within there, so that if someone has a role that's not really common inside of a dental practice, dental assistant, hygienist, scheduling coordinator, all of those things are very common, but we also have space for the uncommon roles that tend to kind of show up in certain components. So, and even our virtual team members have a space in the platform.
Awesome. So that was going to be the next thing I was actually going to ask about, was the virtual team members. So I would like to delve into that just a little bit to better understand, what you mean when you say a virtual team member. So are these actual physical employees who work offsite? Is this a AI generated type? So walk me through a little bit about how that works and what that would, what the impact that can be on a practice.
These are real people.
Okay.
These are really talented, highly trained individuals that we actually, in coaching, especially since the pandemic, there's been huge people challenges in practices, and just the turnover, the finding.
It's tough everywhere.
It's really hard. And so again, I'm a problem solver. The dashboard that I created was a solution. The virtual team members are a solution. These were not like original ideas that I was like, this is coming out of nowhere. It's coming from conversations.
Yeah.
Virtual team members, they go through a pretty intense training with Cre8wise, and then they're first recruited and vetted by a company that I've partnered with who has done this for a very long time, and they have about 300 virtual team members on their staff, and then we vet and recruit from that piece. It's almost like a dating website if you look at it, for lack of better terms, but you have profiles and skill sets and different things that you can it's like a resume builder within this program. And then they go through a rigorous training, and then we spend about the first 60 days with them and the practice that they're going to be helping to help create that sort of bridge between the practice and the virtual team member, so that there's a seamless transition into the work that they'll be able to help with. It's helping a
Awesome.
lot of practices to be able to really provide higher levels of patient experience, because oftentimes we're bogged down by a phone that's ringing,
Yep.
or a multitude, or sitting on an insurance call for
Yep.
way too long trying to get answers about something else. And so our virtual team members really take over some of those tasks that allow the team to really be forward facing with their patient's journey and experience in the practice.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love it. And there's a couple of other companies that I know of that have kind of the remote work type style, involved. But, one thing that they don't have, and I say one thing, it's way more than one thing, but what they don't have is the platform to kind of bring it all together, which is super awesome. So Elevate Compliance is a proud sponsor of Dental Nachos. If you're not a Dental Nachos member, joining the Facebook platform is free and provides access to an amazing group of dental professionals from all areas of the industry. Just search Dental Nachos on your favorite social media to get connected with great vendors, speakers, and dental professionals who are waiting to share their knowledge and expertise with you. Yeah, that is great. So transitioning a little bit away, you mentioned that there was another company that you own or work on.
Yeah.
Remind me again the name of it.
Bloom and Be Wellness.
Bloom and Bee Wellness.
Yeah,
Okay.
with two E's, like a bumblebee.
Yes,
Bloom.
like a bee. Got it. Bloom and then the bee that comes to the bloom. Got it.
Yeah.
So, and Bloom and Bee Wellness. So let's talk a little bit about that for a minute. I know you said that Cre8wise is kind of your takes up most of your time and things like
Yeah.
that. But talk about Bloom and Bee. What's the purpose of that company? What does it do?
Yeah, this one's a passion project. This is
Okay.
something that I've been in dentistry for 30 years, and I kind of stumbled into dentistry. It was sort of an accidental career that I've created
Me
here.
too. We'll talk about that in a
Right?
minute. Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
yeah. And I think, all the while I've tried to pay attention to some of the things that really feed the soul, right? So I love to dig in the dirt. I love gardens. I love growing fresh vegetables and herbs and all of that jazz. And I decided not too long ago that I wanted to really take that a step further. So I have been studying clinical herbalism. And so I'm in school right now,
Awesome.
actually. And part of this business is just for me to bring all of that education, all of those things that I'm learning about sort of ancient traditions around plants and the wellness that they can bring, that you can go find in a park or in your backyard. Is really what Bloom and Bee is. And so I have paired it a little bit with the dental space in terms of hosting some retreats. I have a nice property where people can come and learn how to do this, and then also learn how to manage some of the stress that our work and our profession brings into our lives. So I'm a tea time girl. When we finish up here, it will be tea time, and I
Perfect.
will brew my afternoon tea, which today is milk thistle and burdock.
Okay.
And I think that sometimes we discount and we set aside wellness, and it's such a big part of everything it should be a big part of everything we do, and it can really support successful professional careers if we're
Absolutely.
really paying attention to how to take care of our bodies. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell me about this property. Is that where you live, or do you have or is it kind of okay, you live there?
I do. I live
Awesome.
there. Yeah, I have a large garden, and then I live in an area where we have a very, very, very large community garden. So within my
Awesome.
community, I live in this. It's a lake community with about 166 homes, and my community is very supportive of the work that I do. They're my primary customers. And the garden has been a really lovely thing that I've been able to bring inside of that community, and also show people and provide people with homeopathy medicines and teas and things that they can use to kind of get through whatever they're going through, without killing the body with a serious antibiotic or
Right,
whatever.
right.
And I believe in modern medicine, by the way,
Sure.
obviously. But I think that there's a place for some of the things that we've forgotten about.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Yeah, I'm a big fan of homeopathy as well. Not that I have any real experience with it, but I've taken remedies before that have helped with certain things. I have terrible scarring on my back. Actually, this is probably something that none of my listeners actually know about me. Yeah, I had really bad acne when I was growing up, and as you can see, my skin never really got the point that I'm not in puberty anymore. But after that, I had some pretty bad scarring on my back, and it was painful for years. And believe it or not, of all the things that I tried, it was a homeopathic remedy with graphite that actually helped take the pain away, helping with the
Yeah.
scar tissue and helped remove it. And they've never hurt since then. So just kind of a really fascinating thing that when you brought that up, I haven't even thought about that in years
Yeah.
because it's been so long since I've given it any thought. But well,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, one of the other things there's a couple of things that you've mentioned, since we've been talking that have rung with me that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
The first one was just real quickly. Did you say that your 30th anniversary in the industry was in August of last year?
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So I met you first at Boost Camp, which was in August of last year, and I didn't know that you were celebrating
I
your.
was. It was a big celebration.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I wish I would have known that. That's really cool. That's awesome. Well, that's cool. That's awesome. That's great. I have been in the industry. Excuse me, my words today. I have been in the industry for 10 years. Been doing this for about 10 years. And you mentioned the other thing that I wanted to talk with you about was that you mentioned that you sort of accidentally found dentistry. Dentistry kind of found you. That's the way it was for me as well. And
Yeah.
I'll keep the story short because the people who've listened to my podcast before have heard this a million times. But I worked in production, television production, and I was actually loaned out to a small production company that was going to film a video on how to properly disinfect a dental operatory.
Yeah. I love
And I'm
it.
like, I don't know what any of that means, but okay, let's do it. And I met the owner of the company that I've been with for the last 9 years. And when I started Elevate last year, it was really kind of me taking that next step in the career and again, building the platform and innovating, which has been awesome. What's been your experience in, tell me the story. What happened that, like you said, sort of accidentally you stumbled into dentistry and it became this 30-year endeavor?
Yeah, well, I had some family members that worked in dentistry when I was a kid. So my mom and my sister both worked in a dental practice. My sister is a hygienist, and my mom was an office manager of a practice.
Okay.
So I was fortunate enough and dentistry has, even though there's a lot of dental practices in the world, it's a small community. Like I'm sure
Absolutely.
you figured that out too. Like it's just a lot of times you know a lot of people, and especially just within a town, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I was lucky enough to get my high school job at a dental practice. And I really loved it. I did. I enjoyed, so I felt fancy. I got to wear scrubs at my high school job. Like everyone else was working at like McDonald's or like,
Right.
and no,
Walmart or, yeah.
right. But I was like, I'm wearing scrubs. That felt fancy to me. So, and just like the practice that I was working, it was a smaller practice. There was a beautiful team camaraderie there. The patients were lovely human beings that I enjoyed interacting with. And I really liked my high school job. And I did not plan, though, to be in this industry. It wasn't like my dream to be like a coach and a speaker and a tech creator in
Yeah.
this industry. That was never the plan. I really actually wanted to go to school to become a journalist. I love to
Okay.
write, and so that was my plan. But when I was 19, I experienced a bit of a tragedy, and it derailed my entire path. It really did. It changed everything for me. And, it's part of my story today. I won't get into detail. It is very personal and
Okay. Absolutely.
all
Yeah.
of that, but it is, it was something that changed everything. And I ended up becoming a very young single mom very quickly. And I had a choice to make, and I chose that path. And I came back to dentistry after that. I knew that the situation that I was in, I knew that dentistry could support my desire to embrace what had happened to me and to be the best mom that I could with this new little baby blessing that was very unexpected and right there, 9 months it was coming, right? So I ended up interviewing for a position as a treatment coordinator, and I still have the journal. It sits right up here, very close to me all the time. That I wrote in. Writing was one of my healing modalities because it was my passion. It's what I wanted to do. So my therapist really encouraged me to continue using that as a healing modality. And in that journal, I wrote, "Watch out, world! I'm going to be the best damn treatment coordinator this side of the Mississippi on the day before my job." And I really kind of have tried to hang on to that mantra that I wrote in that journal that day, and it's served me well. I've been working hard to be the best at whatever was put in front of me at any given time, and it's led me down an upward path in this industry and opened doors for me that I could have never imagined, because that's my mindset. So accidentally-ish, I'm here through a series of life circumstances and events, and I wouldn't change a single moment of it.
Are you looking for an all-in-one HIPAA, OSHA, and infection control compliance solution for your practice? Elevate Compliance offers a state-of-the-art platform that allows you and your team to take CE courses, access important forms, and keep digital practice manuals all in one place for a low monthly subscription. No more bulky manuals or boring training. Let us elevate your practice together. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, or visit elevatecompliance.net. I appreciate you sharing what you did share. And that's, so my story, obviously, no tragedies, anything like that really that kind of got me on this path. But there were moments in time where, in all parts of my life, and I'm sure you can relate to this as well, where, like you said, you're kind of faced with situations where you have to decide what you're going to do and what direction you're going to go. And I have always lived my life in the standpoint of, I want to always learn something every day. So you talked about how writing is one of your healing modalities, and I assume I'm probably guessing you write every day, at least something, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so for me, it's learning. And so that's kind of my, I get out of my brain and get my mind off of my problems when I'm reading and learning things. So that's really kind of I don't know if I'd call it a healing modality. Again, I haven't suffered a lot of personal tragedy in my life. I've been very privileged in my life to not have a lot of that, but there are times that are stressful and I'm anxious, and that's kind of the approach that I take. But the last thing that you said was really what I want to gravitate toward. And that was, you don't regret a moment of it. You wouldn't change a thing. And I'm exactly the same way.
Yeah.
So may I ask, how old is your daughter?
So I have two children now.
Okay.
My oldest is a boy, a man.
Oh, okay.
He's a man. I say he's a boy. He's still my boy, right?
Sure.
He's 24.
Okay.
And then my daughter is 18, and she's a senior in high school. So I am about to be an empty nester, Will. It's
How do you
crazy.
feel about that?
I feel excited, and I feel a lot of things, actually. It's interesting because I have been a mom. It's a big, huge part of my adult identity, right? I've been a mom since the very beginning of my adulthood. And not that I'll stop being a mom, right?
Of course.
But there's a difference in having grown children versus actively parenting your children. And I've actively parented my children kind of while I was also growing up. So the idea of like, I think that's why I felt like now is the time to really activate this idea, this passion project of Bloom and Be. It was the right time for me to say yes to something that I've kind of just pushed back for all these years, to just like career path, do like the responsible thing and focus on this career journey, the thing that provides for the family. And so I think I'm excited. I'm excited for my children. I'm excited for myself and my husband. And so I think that sums it up pretty good. But there's a lot of other feelings too.
Of course. Yes. I'm sure. Yeah. Like I said, I'm asking the question. I'm sure there would be much longer time needed to answer fully all the feelings that are going through.
That's another podcast episode.
Yes, that's a whole nother episode. Yeah. Well, I have an almost 2-year-old now. He's almost 2, and just a little funny story for the listeners and for you. So this weekend was the Super Bowl, and
I know.
I know you know. Yeah. Sorry. I was gonna try to gloss over that real quickly for the Chiefs fan on the call, but. So I always host. My wife and I have always hosted for years, like literally 10 years. We've hosted a Super Bowl party, and we invite different people every time, different friends. But there's one of my friends who I grew up with in Northern California who actually lives in Portland, and he comes up every year. So he's come up for like 10 straight years. and he has full sleeve tattoos on his arms. And this was the first time. My wife and I don't have tattoos, not because we're against it. We just have never found something that we want to, permanently have on our body forever.
Sure.
And so my son sees my really good friend's tattoos, and he's like pointing at it, looking at me like what is that, And I said, well, it's called a tattoo. And I asked my friend, can he see your tattoos? And my buddy's like, of course. So he pulls the sleeve up, and my son is looking at it and he goes, tattoos? And I said, yes, it's a tattoo. And he goes, tattoos? And then after that, it was all he could think about all day. He just would talk about the tattoos. So we went and got him some little like Marvel superheroes like Thor and Hulk and all that, and put some tattoos on his arm. And man, he was so proud that he could be next to my buddy with his tattoos on. So anyway, that was just a goofy story that just happened this weekend.
I love that so much. I love how kids say things too. Tattoos?
Yeah, tattoos. He did crunch his nose up. Tattoos. Yeah, so funny. So anyway,
I love
well, that's
it.
awesome. Yeah, I've wanted to be a dad my entire life. Like that's been a goal of mine since I was a kid. People would ask all my friends, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I'd be like, I want to be a dad. That's what I've always wanted. So for me, this is my dream come true. This is the greatest thing ever. And so I totally understand what you're saying that, I can't imagine how I'm going to feel in 16-ish years from now when he's getting ready to move out. We'll have to see how that goes. And we may have other kids, of course, I don't know, but yeah, I knew it was going to be the greatest thing that I would ever do in my life. And it still shattered my expectations and continues to do that every single day. It's the greatest thing ever.
It's such an incredible experience. I would say that when you talk about like being like something that really speaks to you is learning something every day. I would say that my greatest teachers have been my children. I have learned so much from them and from just the experience of parenting. It's such a learning experience. And I would say that they are, two of my best and greatest teachers for sure. Hands down. Yeah.
That is awesome. That's
stuff.
great.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Right on. So a couple of other things that I just wanted to kind of touch on real quickly, just to as we kind of start getting ready to wrap up the interview today. So obviously, I know, like I said earlier, I met you at Boost Camp with Dental Nachos last year. Are you going to be going back to Boost this year?
I believe so. Yes. I'm very excited. It's such a great meeting. I love it there.
It was like the best show I've ever done. I've been going to trade shows and stuff for dentistry for 10 years. Yeah. And that was by far the coolest, like most intimate, you just really get to know people, and it was really awesome. So, well, good. Well, I'm still trying to decide if I can go. There's a few other things going on in my personal life that I won't get into on the show, but that may impact my ability to be there. But for anybody who's listening, not that I am a sponsor of Dental Nachos, full disclosure, but I'm not like I'm not saying this because I'm getting paid to say this, but if you get an opportunity to go to Boost Camp, Sam can tell you it is awesome.
I would agree.
It's a great
It's a really great event. I totally agree. It's very well done, and you will leave with so many new relationships and so many new friends, and probably some opportunities as well. It's a great place to be.
Yeah, so good. Well, I'm hoping that I'll get a chance to see you there. Are you going to any what other shows and speaking? Where will you be speaking and things like that this year? Anything else in the docket yet?
I am keeping it very, very light this year because I'm launching these two big things, and that's my big focus.
Okay.
So I'm keeping my travel really light, and it feels pretty good, Will, actually. So
nice to take a little break from all the in and out.
Last year I did 17 speaking engagements, and it was too much, and just kind of the things I'm focusing on this year, it's just I'm taking a little break from it, and it feels really good to have made that decision. So I'm going as a guest to a couple of places.
Sure.
And I'm really focusing on Cre8wise teams and then Cre8wise task management software this year. It's my big and Bloom and Be Wellness.
Of course. Bloom. That's right. Of course. Absolutely. Yes. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to say. Just a side note. You mentioned how there's a big community garden where you live, and the community you get a lot of support from the community.
Yeah.
It's so funny where I live. There's a little one just kind of up the road, and it's within walking distance. I mean, like it's like a 4 or 5 minute walk, and my son loves to go there and see it.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because it just, again, the things that pop into your mind when you hear somebody mention
Yes.
something, it just triggers a thought or a memory. And he's obsessed with this garden book right now, and it talks about community gardens, and he kind of associated like that this thing that they're talking about in the book is where we go. So anyway,
Yeah.
that was a
That's
totally
cool.
just goofy little side note that popped into my head when you mentioned the community garden, and thought I'd
I love
mention
that.
that. So
I love that so much.
well, Sam, it has been a pleasure interviewing you today,
Yes.
talking with you. Thank you for coming on the show. So before we go, do me a favor and let all of our listeners know where they can find more information about Cre8wise or Bloom and Bee, if that's a route that they, if they're looking for more information about that. Talk a little bit about where they can find you.
Yeah, the best place to go is both of the websites. So it's Cre8wise.com, and it's spelled kind of funny. So it's the number 8 WISE.com. And then Bloom and Bee is bloomandbeewellness.com. I'm also just I'm a friendly Midwest gal, so you're welcome to just give me a shout on the phone, text me a message. My number is 785-331-9087. Not ashamed to share it. I'll have a conversation with anybody. So yeah, reach out. I'd love to hear from anyone about their experience with either one of those things. I'm an organizational queen. The Marie Kondo of dentistry is what they call me.
There you go.
So if somebody needs help with that, I'd be really, really honored to be able to help someone really organize and thrive in their practice.
Right on. Well, Sam, I know you're busy. I will wrap this up so you can get back to doing all the things that you got to do, even on the day where you can't go anywhere.
I
But
know, right?
thank you so much. I really appreciate you
Thank
coming on. It was
you.
great to talk with you.
Same to you. Thank you, Will. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. And thanks again for everybody for listening. We'll be back next time, I should say, not next week, next time with another episode of the Elevate Compliance Podcast.
Bye, everybody.